It's the middle of May 2020, the year of the coronavirus, COVID-19, the pandemic. We're all living in the same world, and we're all struggling for answers of what it all means and where it's all going. Watch the news every day. I watch all the cable shows, the network shows, Meet the Press, Face the Nation. I read all the newspapers, I read all the websites, and I'm sure I've posted each and every article to Facebook at this point. And we're still looking for answers. And in a world where it seems like objectivity is gone and all that's left is subjectivity, I want to find myself hearing how everybody else is going through this. Not people with agendas, just real people, my friends, my family, colleagues. So I came up with this idea of 20 on 20, listening to 20 different people telling us what they're going through in the year 2020. There's 19 more after me on this tape, and we'll see how many of these things I can make. I hope you enjoy it.
I think one of the most surprising things to me is just the unknown. Just how much is still unknown, how much is still up in the air, and how much is not set in stone because it can't be. You know, like everything is determined by how we react and how well we follow guidelines and how well we listen to our medical professionals and so on and so on and so on. And I completely understand that. That's not a complaint at all. I just don't think I've ever experienced that in my lifetime. Like the fact that the UK timeline doesn't give set dates. It's the earliest June at the earliest July, and even the whole plan is conditional. I just don't think I've ever experienced so much being up in the air at a national or international level.
What I miss the most during this time is my friends. Like, we had made so many plans of things we were going to do in April, May, and June when classes ended so that we could finish high school in a fun and positive way. And now I haven't seen some of them in weeks, and seeing them 6 feet away just honestly isn't the same thing when you're so accustomed to actions like a quick hug goodbye or touching their arm when they say something funny. There's just something like huge missing for me right now. And it's a pretty miserable way to end high school when I know that there were these like key moments to say goodbye, and I'll never get closure with this chapter of my life. But I'm really grateful for social media and like FaceTime and instant messaging giving me an opportunity to connect with people and not be completely isolated.
The hardest thing for me throughout all of this is being so far away from my family. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. They live in Australia. And honestly, I don't know who's more worried about who. They are in a safer country as far as the virus goes, but my mom is in her 70s. My grandfather is about to turn 102. So they are definitely in high-risk categories. And even though I'm an actor, I still have a day job like most actors, and funnily enough, my day job is considered essential right now. So I can't take time off, even if I wanted to go and see them. And if I did somehow get back to Australia, I would still have to be put into quarantine for 2 weeks in a hotel before I could even get to them. So should anything happen to them, either through the virus or just any other dire situation, there's no way I can get back to them quickly. So for those of you that are quarantined with family, I hope it's a safe situation for you. And B, if it is a safe situation, no doubt they're still annoying you like families do, but I implore you to still give them a hug at the end of the day, because there's some of us that can't go home.
So I got furloughed about a month ago, probably, April 15th-ish. I was at the vet actually with my dog, and she had an emergency, wasn't feeling well. And I was sitting outside the vet because I wasn't allowed in, of course. And I got a text. And that's when I found out. And I had to look up what the word furlough meant. I'm serious. I've been a freelancer my whole life, and first time I'm being an employee, and I looked it up and I was like, obviously, jaw drop, frozen, tingles through the body. Okay, this is happening. At first you think, why me? What did I do? Was I not up to par? Was I not doing the right things? And you try to beat yourself up or keep questioning it. And then you stop and you say, you can't. This is bigger than me. COVID-19 and this pandemic is worldwide. And it really took a moment, as I'm sure so many of you out there, I've been a freelancer my whole life. I know the hustle so well. And I would normally be reaching out, writing people, and getting a new job and working so hard. But the fact is, I can't. And what it's done is forced me to take a break, look at my life, and appreciate. I have my health, I have a roof over my head, and I have a beautiful family who loves me, and I love them. And I'm grateful. I was nervous. I just moved in with a boyfriend in October, and it's just made us stronger. This is hard. It's about staying positive and patient. And just knowing, as someone that's been defined by my career my whole life, career isn't life. Living is life.
I've thought about what it has done to society, and there's a lot of things about this that are bad, but I have seen some good out of it, in that some people are reflecting more and thinking about the way they want to live their lives, and taking time out, basically to smell the roses, like they say. And I'm hoping that's something that will last. My cynicism makes me see that, that's probably not going to be the case. Once things get going again, then everyone's going to start doing all the things that they were used to doing, and, and all of this time that has been gathered, being with your loved ones and, with your children, and, all of those things are just going to be gone. I hope not, but I don't know. I know for me, I am taking this time to reflect a lot. I've been meditating. That was something I've always wanted to start doing, and I have begun the process of doing that. And being still. And I think that's important.
I've been thinking quite a lot these days about solace and what feeds us in these chaotic times, and where we go when we need to be restored. When I first started teaching my classes online, it was stressful, trying to figure out how to do what I would normally do in person. And I took a break in between and went and sat on the front steps of the porch. And I looked over, and there was a pot of flowers next to me. And I noticed in the center of one of these flowers was a tiny katydid, a little green insect. And that really resonated with me, because I thought, when the world is in chaos, go small and notice the things around you, nature, the birds, the light filtering through the trees. It's a reminder that life goes on.
Being a parent at this time is a blessing and a curse. I'll start with the curse. It is relentless. It is nonstop. It is 24/7, and especially when you have a 4-month-old, they have no independence. They rely on you for everything. So you have to be there. It's a constant juggle of work and parenting and your own personal sanity all at the same time. That being said, it's also a blessing because this is invaluable time that I'm spending with my daughter right now, and I know that I will never get this time back, and I'm literally watching her grow in front of my eyes. So it's truly spectacular. Either way you look at it, it's unprecedented, and sometimes it can be both.
I've always been the kind of person who's pretty at home in a crowd of people. I really like being in a packed theater or even at a concert and feeling the apprehension of everybody and the excitement of waiting to watch something together or experiencing something together as a large body of people. You know, when a crowd sort of roars with excitement, and only the way a large gathering of people could sound. And now I am missing that so much. It's something that's felt like home to me that I didn't even realize felt like home. And I'm also super scared and fearful of being in that situation again. I don't even like to have, you know, a neighbor walk too close behind me when I'm out on a walk. So now it's hard to imagine being packed into a fully sold out theater or like pressed up against the stage at a concert. And I wonder, when will that ever feel at home again? If I'll ever feel, you know, comfortable in that situation in my life again, or if, you know, that's just something I took for granted before and I had no idea how special that was.
I think in all of this that's going on, quarantine, the pandemic, I think I turn to my wife. You know, she's the strongest person. You know, she said from the beginning, we'll figure this out. We'll work together. You know, we'll get through this. And I think her calmness has really helped. I think another thing that I look toward is humanity. Because of all the things out there, the people who are stepping up to the plate, people who are putting their lives on the line to protect us, they're still good out there. And I think that's what's made me stronger. And I feel like I'm going to come out of this, and I think a lot of people are going to come out of this looking at the world a different way. And instead of what can I get from this world, I think society's going to start thinking, what can I do for the world? What can I do for my fellow man? And I think that's pretty good.
Tomorrow is my last day as an undergraduate student in university. I was supposed to have my commencement next week. I was supposed to see my parents, my siblings, all my family who all live very far away from me. And I feel like I'm about to do something so big that I'm so proud of. And I'm about to do it alone because of everything. I live in this apartment by myself. And it's been really tough. And it's been hard, you know, to not let what's going on to undermine my accomplishments.
I want to come out of this quarantine a better person. I've been off work for about 60 days now. In the past 5 years, I've totaled about 100 days off of work. 50 of those when I was hurt last year and I was forced to be on disability. Don't get me wrong, I love my field of entertainment, and I love waking up every day, going to work and doing what I love. But this quarantine has made me realize that there's so many things I'm missing out on. I love to play tennis. I'm in the circus arts and I love to train. My brother lives 5 minutes down the road with his 2 nephews and I see them maybe once a month. I'm always working that I don't have time to do all these different things. Now that I have this time, I'm going to set standards for myself for when I go back to work. I'm going to limit how much I work every week so I have time to do all these things that I love so much.
As someone who has often felt the overpowering necessity to create for the first time in my life, I don't feel that at all. All I can do is deal with every blow, every strike, every misfortune is a tragedy, and right now we are surrounded by tragedy. And so a tragedy to a creative soul is even more paramount, which means that it is all I can do right now to just take it day by day, to just put my mental health first, and in the morning decide, do I need to lie on the carpet all day and stare at the fire? Yes. Excellent. Do I need to make a puzzle? Yes, I will do that. And there's so much pressure, I think, on artists that we're supposed to be making our magnum opus right now, writing King Lear, creating the next great work, making the things that we do that thrive on live audiences and connection in rooms, suddenly being like, well, now we have to figure out a way for all that to work online. And I just don't have the energy, and I struggle daily with knowing in one part of my brain that I should still be creating, and on the other side of my brain knowing that it is okay not to create.
We live in this information age, and we can get that information from any number of sources. Television news, TV talk shows, radio, newspapers, and of course the internet, complete with Twitter. How else will we find out what's going on? Well, our current president and his cadre of yes men and yes women want us all to believe that the media is the enemy of the people, which is just not true. What I would like to see in our next president is complete honesty and truthfulness, something we've been denied for the last 3.5 years. Thank you.
These past couple of months have been very difficult and a challenge to navigate. And it's also caused a lot of anxiety for me. Being an actor, I have no idea what my future holds. And my way of coping with this situation is just trying to focus on what's important to me. And for me, that's my family. It's staying connected with them. It's my boyfriend. It's my best friends. Keeping those relationships strong has helped my anxiety through this very stressful time. And it's also been very cool because I get to talk to them more than I ever had before, especially being an actor and having 3 jobs. I was working 6 days a week. And now I get to see my nieces grow up day by day. I get to talk to my sister who lives in a time zone that's 3 hours ahead of me, which is extremely difficult. And I get to check in on my parents, which just makes me feel better to know that they're doing all right. I think that everyone in this time should really focus on what's important to them. And whether that's your career at this moment, whether it's your family, whether it's, I don't know, learning a new instrument. I think it's a very healthy way of staying productive and getting through this difficult time.
So every day I wake up I feel as though it's a battle to maintain my sanity, my mental health, my desire to carry on and make good choices. It's really hard to not fall into bad habits like drinking too much, sleeping too late, not exercising, not eating well, sabotaging my relationships. All of the things that are hard in the best of times now are just only heightened in their significance and in their potential pull on us. So I'm really, really doing my best to hold myself accountable to not falling into those patterns and to checking myself when I, feel my ship falling off course and getting my rudder back where it needs to be. And some days are better than others. Some days are atrocious where I barely make it from, one end of the day to the other. I don't mean that literally. That's dark. But I mean, it's easy to want to give up and to just say, fuck it. But I can't do that.
Right now, to me, the most important thing is family. I've been missing them a lot. My mom, my brother, and my sister all live up north. But my son lives here in Austin, Texas with me, and he's made me a first-time grandmother. And it's really been a bummer because I haven't gotten to see Navy as much as you would think a first-time grandmother should, and that's because of this pandemic. I've kind of been staying away from her because I'm a little bit scared. I don't want her to get sick because she's so little. And she actually turned 3 months old yesterday. She was born about a month before we got the stay-at-home order. And being a grandmother has just made my heart want to explode. But it's also made my heart sad because if I could, I'd see her every day and just watch her grow and love on her and hold her and snuggle her. But I FaceTime with her a lot. And I can't wait until this pandemic is over so that I can hold her and love her and, yeah, family.
Smell of the grease paint and the roar of the crowd. That's an old expression that describes the excitement of theater. Grease paint was what used to be used to make makeup, and that is long gone. We no longer use grease paint, and we seldom use a lot of makeup anymore. But the crowd is our audiences, and what I most look forward to after this is all over is our audiences, our crowds. We as actors tend to just take the crowds for granted. We're so caught up in making our art and putting on our show and working on our craft that we put the audience into the future. But what's become real apparent with this crisis is that we can't do theater without the audience, without the crowd. So I'm really looking forward to hearing that crowd again.
I think there are two main things we need to focus on right now. The first, of course, is doing our part to flatten the curve. So staying at home as much as possible, practicing social distancing and wearing a face mask when we go outside. But something else to think about is simply recognizing what an unprecedented time this is. I think this is the first time in any of our lifetimes where society has essentially been put on pause for a moment, and we have a chance to take a step back and think about what exactly it is we want for our society. Because amidst all of this chaos and tragedy, we now have the very rare opportunity to create a new normal for ourselves once this is all over. So I would say, let's not be too eager to go back to normal. Rather, let's create a normal 2.0.
I don't really know what my life will look like a year from now, I know that I'm going to come out of this pandemic with a lot more patience than I went into it with. That's for sure. Before COVID-19, my life was about my career and maintaining an upwards trajectory. And now my focus is on my mother and making sure that she remains safe. So we may be wearing masks every time we leave the house a year from now. We may still be maintaining 6 feet of distance between us. I don't know. What I do know is that COVID has proven if anything happens in this life, it's change, and it can happen at a blink of an eye. So a year from now, when things change again, as they most inevitably will, I'm going to be ready for it. And I'm going to maintain my optimism and my light, and I'm going to navigate it the way we've all navigated this pandemic together.